What's going on, y'all? I am sweating. I'm gonna try to stay close to the mic. I'm in a little corner somewhere, child. You see me? I am hot. There's no AC in this place. Oh my God. Welcome to another live. What's going on, y'all? Thank you for being here. This is gonna be a quick live. It's not gonna be too long unless y'all have some questions, and I'm happy to stick around and chat. So I am streaming from both YouTube, which I'm looking over here, and Instagram. Welcome. My name is Francis. It's so nice to have you here. I just have to take a breath because I'm hot. I'm right now in the DR, in the Dominican Republic, and we are getting ready for our retreat for next week. But because I'm not going to be around for a little bit, I thought, let me hop in here and chat with y'all for a little bit because I won't be doing a live next week. And the week after that, I might need some days to integrate because I'll be also doing some of the medicines, not all, or just one, technically. You're going to hear motorbikes. Ooh, I'm so hot. Lily, I'm sweating. I'm so hot. You're going to hear some motorbikes in the background. I tried to be far away from the street so I can be in the back of the building so that you guys don't hear nothing. It ain't that late night because, after this, I'm going to bed because I'm still recovering from only having just like 1 to 2 hours of sleep. I'm glad that your internet is working, child, because hopefully it's working good enough for you to do something with it. You know what I'm saying? I'll be honest, the internet in DR, from my experience, has not been the best. So we'll see how going live on a weekly basis because I'm here for at least a month. I may cut it short. I'm not sure. We'll see because some new developments. It wasn't 10 hours of solid sleep. It was 10 hours of unsettling sleep. Look at me, I got woo, child. All right. So thank you for being here. Like I said, it's gonna be a quick live unless y'all have some questions. I'm Francis. If this is your first time catching a live, oh, you're just here to call me out in the chat. How supportive are you, Lily? I really appreciate that so much. You're so supportive. Yeah, so if you are not a member of my Thrive community, make sure you join the newsletter. I send out monthly newsletters. And I've heard that it's pretty good. Some people like it. So definitely keep in touch offline. And that's the best way to keep in touch with me is through the newsletter. So hopefully you can join. There's a link in my bio and all that good stuff. But today I'm really going to focus on a reframe because I'm all about the reframes because the reframes propel us out of our stuckness. It helps us move forward in a way that we might not have been able to because we've been attached or stuck to a certain narrative or old narrative that's no longer working. So when we are able to approach something with a different reframe, what it does is it gives us that release and also that momentum to say, oh, okay, I can see that differently. And I can do something differently. Things bothering me, so I had to take it out. And so that's what we're going to focus on, this reframe that sort of came to me not too long ago. I was talking to a friend of mine who mentioned that they were just kind of like flowing into their new glory zone after just a long season of healing and introspection. And I thought that was beautiful, right? Because we deserve to experience that glory zone. We really do. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm also looking at the YouTube. Let me just adjust some things here. But we deserve to be, to experience that glory zone, right? We deserve to spend time at the mountaintop, to not necessarily look down at what we've experienced, but to look at how far we've come, which made me think about how we respond to the highs and the lows of life. And, when we're in the high, we often want to scream it, right? We want to talk about it. Y'all heard that? We want to talk about it. We want to share it with the world. We want to tell everybody when we're at the high, right? But when we're at the low, we often want to keep the low hidden, right? We don't necessarily want to share a lot of our struggles. And sometimes, it's timing, right? You get not necessarily just to share the struggle at the moment. Maybe you need to process it and go through it first before you actually do that. But it's not all of us that do this, but I fall into it sometimes too, because often it does feel better to share when things are going really well for ourselves versus when they're not, like when we're knee deep in the struggle. And so what I said to her after she said that was that sometimes, what's going on, son? It's nice to see you. What I said to her was that sometimes the dips are masked as highs. And you'll see me, I feel like I'm at church. I'm like, Lord, oh Lord. Okay. I had said to her, what's going on, Nicolette? It's good to see you. So I said to her that sometimes the dips are masked as highs. And then she was like, oh, what do you mean? Right. And so this live is just really focusing on explaining what that statement means. And I think it might be helpful for some folks. It was helpful for me when I thought about it as well. And, sometimes it's this feeling of how we feel when life feels really low. They could also be our glory masked as the opposite. Just hear me out, hear me out. Because in that moment, obviously it may not feel like glory, but could it be, right? Could there be some glory in some of that low? And it's a bit trippy to think about. I remember listening to someone that said that the world lives in opposites. So could we explore a different narrative? And I'll give you an example. Let's take the idea of, look at me, my church. Let's take the idea of throwing up, okay? And I'm only bringing this up because we have a retreat next week. And so there's a lot of purging that happens at our retreat. It's intense, it's an immersion. And, when you are throwing up or something happens that you throw up, often people's reaction is like, oh, something's wrong with you, right? Something's wrong, something's bad. And it feels bad, right? Because it doesn't feel good to feel that nauseous and to actually throw up. And so we've been told that that's not a good sign. But in actuality, this is not necessarily the case. And this goes into the opposites that I was saying. Could there be glory in the lows? In actuality, this is just your body purging out what it no longer needs, right? Hey, babe, it's good to see you, babe. It's your body purging out what it no longer needs. And that's just really the intelligence of your body. So this conversation is more of a yes and conversation, right? The highs are beautiful and so are the lows. Just hear me out. It's going to come full circle. I swear. When life feels very low and painful and confusing and messy, and we're just all over the place, it's really hard to even see that as glorious. It really is. And I can relate to this. But then I question, can we actually find the beauty within the low? Even in our moments of shame, embarrassment, whatever, right? Whatever emotion is coming up for you. Because what happens is that we don't realize that when we're at the low points in our lives, that is when seeds of growth are sown, right? I'll say it again. We don't realize that when we're at the low points in our lives, that is when seeds of growth are sown. And so these sort of valleys, you ever hear people say the peaks and the valleys of life, the highs and the lows. So these valleys or difficult moments are really like fertile soil where beautiful seeds of transformation are planted. And so it's really easy to overlook their potential when we're preoccupied or just fixated on the pursuit of the highs or the peaks of life, right? It's really hard to get off that track if we're so tunnel vision on that. And so we're so eager to escape those low moments that we often overlook the vital lessons and opportunities hidden within them. Because I know, just like myself, we often want to just rush out of all the things that are feeling bad, that are feeling overwhelming, that are stressful. And, although I'm not saying that's what my friend did when she made that comment, what I'm saying is that it was something I was just thinking about, because I even find myself, like I said, doing that sometimes, like, okay, this feels bad long enough, and I'm ready to move past that feeling. It's almost like when you think of sometimes the healing journey can feel like never ending. And I actually did a whole video about like when the healing journey feels sort of endless. And I discuss how we can shift our perspective from endless to expansion. And you can go check that out on my YouTube channel. But both the highs and the lows truly serve a purpose in our lives. And we can't ignore both of them, because life ultimately is about balance. Let me get this sweat off. Life is ultimately about balance. And so when we're at our low points and we're experiencing moments of profound confusion and pain, again, it's challenging to perceive them as glorious because they're just too close to us. And we're often deeply attached to the discomfort and maybe the chaos that we might be facing. So I'm about to wrap this up soon, but I invite you to just take a step back, right? Observe and reflect on what's unfolding around you, in front of you, inside of you. And most importantly, find the strength to sit within that difficult sort of low energy that you're experiencing. Kind of reminds me of, I was watching my partner's sister's husband. He did a whole video about pain and power, and how pain and power both come from the same place. And we could look at those as opposites, but they're both sides of the same coin. And when we're feeling some sort of pain, there's also power there as well. And we can choose to decide to focus on the pain, or we can choose to tap into that power. So we can choose to decide to look into just the highs and ignore the lows, or we can see the lows as just beautiful stepping stones for the next chapter in our lives. So just remember, it's in that low period of our lives, which again is fertile soil, that we have the opportunity to learn, to evolve, and just make beautiful changes in our lives. So I'm encouraging you, if this is something that you're experiencing, to not just get focused on the high. Like maybe you came out of the dark night of the soul, don't focus on the high, and that you ignore the purpose of the low, okay? Because the dips are where everything is. They act as catalysts for powerful transformation and insights to occur, okay? Let me wipe this sweat off. So that's just really the message that I felt like just came up for me, and I wanted to just share that with you. So if you're experiencing some lows, try to see the beauty in that low. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard to see the beauty in the low, but something beautiful is about to happen on the other side. And you don't have to wait for the other side to see the beauty and what's happening within you, or what's being asked of you. Oh, you're welcome, Marcy. And what's being pulled from you in the season of that low point, because that too is also beautiful as well. Okay. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. It was a short live, like I said, but I'll see y'all maybe in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. We'll see how it goes. But keep a lookout, keep watching, my feed. We'll send some, videos about the retreat and everything else, so you could see what's going on with our retreat. I'm definitely in a dip. I'm going to work harder on seeing the lesson. Beautiful, Sutton. Yeah, the dips happen. It's just part of life. We can't escape the dips, because everything has its season. The peaks have its season. The low has its season. And there's nothing wrong with the low. And we just don't want to get caught up in just searching and in pursuit of the high, that we miss all of what the low can show us and tell us about ourselves. Because honestly, that's where all of the good stuff is, right? If you think of, let me try to get a good metaphor. Even if you get your tasty drink, you got to mix it, right? Because all the good stuff is at the bottom of that drink. So you got to mix it all up and allow some of that stuff to just rise to the surface. So, just take a look at yourself in that fashion. we'd love to have you, Sutton. We're not sure when the next one will be, but I'm sure, we'll see what happens. But thank you again for joining. I really appreciate you. Definitely join again the Thrive newsletter. Stay in touch offline. And I will see y'all on the other side of wholeness. Take care.